stories of the news. Vice President Osinbajo admits approving all contracts for NNPC. Senate passes bill enforcing inauguration of elected president at National Assembly. Center for Disease Control distances south from monkeypox vaccination in Southeast. On the foreign scene, Liberians await results of presidential election. Good evening and welcome to the news at 6 on Rave 91.7 FM. My name is Gideon Udoessien. Now the details. Vice President Udoessien has taken responsibility for granting authorization to the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC) for 2 oil contracts worth 640 billion naira. A statement by spokesperson Laola Akonde said Professor Udoessien approved the contracts in his capacity as acting president in July. He said the vice president approved the recommendations for the contracts as part of necessary actions to deal with the backlog of unpaid cash calls and incentivize investments. He added that approval was given after due diligence and adherence to established procedure. Minister of State for Petroleum Resources Ibe Kachukwu had accused the group managing director of the NNPC Mekanti Baro of awarding contracts without due process, an allegation which was denied by the NNPC. The NNPC has stated in its response that 2 presidential approvals were granted for contracts with Shell Nigeria and Chevron at the rate of $1 billion and $780 million. To the judiciary now, the Supreme Court has adjourned the hearing of a former National Security Advisor, Colonel Sambo Dasuke's appeal to the 25th of January 2018. Colonel Dasuke is asking the court to compel the federal government to obey the bail orders granted to him by the Federal High Court Abuja and the ECOWAS Court. He asked the Supreme Court to effectively stop the trials against him in the lower courts until the bail granted to him is implemented. Colonel Dasuke's counsel, Joseph Dowd, spoke to newsmen outside the court.
There's an appeal from the Court of Appeal wherein the appellant challenges his continued detention without release or obedience of the orders of bail. That if the orders for bail are not obeyed, he cannot be tried. So to restore the dignity of the court.
On his part, prosecution counsel Rotimi Jacobs said the matter was left to the Supreme Court to decide.
Of the court. He's saying that his arrest by DSS, that after the arrest, he will no longer be tried by any court. So that is the application. It's trying to get a stay of all the cases pending against him until he's released on bail, or it's released by DSS. And he's also complaining that the Court of Appeal was wrong in hearing the appeal in one day and then decided the case within that same day. I don't know how that can, but it's for the Supreme Court to decide.
Colonel Dasuke has been detained for alleged involvement in the sharing of $2 billion arms procurement funds during ex-President Goodluck Jonathan's administration. The ex-NSA is also standing trial for other criminal offences in various courts in Abuja. Colonel Dasuke was arrested by the Department of State Service on the 1st of December 2015 and has been in detention since that time. In Osun State, the police have arraigned 28-year-old Aziz Camille before an Osogbo Magistrate Court on a 3-count charge bordering on conspiracy to commit felony and theft. The suspect was accused of securing the sum of 511,000 naira from one Muhyiddin Oladejo on false pretense to get him drug treatment for an acute stomach ache. Police prosecutor Inspector Dira Dekunle said the offense was allegedly committed at a Lobo area in June 2017. He said the offense committed was contrary and punishable under sections 516, 418 and 390 subsection 9 criminal laws of Osun State of Nigeria 2002. The accused person pleaded not guilty to the charges, following which the defense counsel Taiwo Awokunle prayed the court to grant him bail in liberal terms. Magistrate Fatima Shodamade then granted the accused person bail in the sum of 500,000 naira and a surety-like sum. She ordered that the matter be transferred to a former magistrate court and adjourned till the 16th of October 2017 for mention. To legislative matters now, a bill which will enforce that an elected president and vice president of the country be inaugurated at the premises of the National Assembly has been passed by the Senate. The passage of the bill, sponsored by Deputy Senate President Ike Ekweremadu, followed several debates on the report of the Senate Committee on Special Duties. Before now, inauguration of presidents and vice presidents of the Federation takes place at the Eagle Square in the Federal Capital Territory. The bill, if agreed to by the House of Representatives and assented to by the Executive, will enforce the inauguration of President and Vice President within the confines of the Parliament, as is done in some other democracies of the world. Reading the report, Chairman of the Committee, Abdulaziz Nyako, noted that the bill, if assented to, will be a welcome development, as the National Assembly represents all segments of the country. The senators, after several debates, passed the bill through a voice vote. Meanwhile, the House of Representatives has urged President Muhammadu Buhari to direct the Minister of Labour and Employment to commence the process of negotiating an upward review of the current minimum wage. The call was sequel to unanimous adoption of a motion moved by Representative Peter Patterson during today's plenary. The lawmaker in the motion urged the federal government to hearken to calls for a review of the national minimum wage to avert the looming nationwide strike action threatened by workers. He told his colleagues that the combination of high inflation rates and the weak exchange value of the naira had eroded the purchasing power of fixed income earners in the country. In his ruling, the Speaker Yakubu Dogara mandated the Committee on Employment, Labour and Productivity to ensure implementation of the directive. The House also mandated its Committee on Healthcare Services to investigate the deplorable condition of the State House Clinic and alleged deductions of salaries and allowances of clinic's medical staff. The resolution of the House followed the passage of a motion tabled by Representative Henry Archibald. The Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian Center for Disease Control, NCDC, Dr. Chike Ikweazu, says there is no ongoing vaccination against monkeypox in the southeast or any other part of the country. Dr. Ikweazu said this in Abuja at the Senate Committee hearing on the reported monkeypox outbreak in parts of the country. The NCDC boss explained that there is no relationship between his organization and what is going on in the southeast. He therefore cautioned Nigerians against participating in any immunization against the disease. Earlier in the week, some parents in Delta and Anambra State reportedly began to withdraw their children from schools following reports that the army was administering immunization drugs suspected to be harmful. The army has since denied the claims, saying the medical outreach is a social responsibility program fashioned into the Operation Python dance in the southeast. In the meantime, the Nigerian army has allayed the fear of the people of the southwest region. The introduction of the Operation Crocodile Smile sign, the operation was not to torment the people of the region, but to ensure their safety. The army also stated that the operation would soon commence in Ondo State to join other security agencies in tackling criminality. The commander of the 32 Artillery Brigade, Brigadier General James Ataguba, stated this during the decoration of two officers of the brigade, Ojo Adelegon and Samson Oladunjoye, who were promoted to the ranks of major. The commander declared that the brigade would ensure that criminals were sent out of the state through the Operation Crocodile Smile. To other matters, the 36 state governors under the aegis of the Nigerian Governors Forum have met to review the ongoing efforts aimed at amending the nation's constitution. The meeting, which was held at the old banquet hall of the Presidential Villa Abuja, was chaired by the forum's chairman, Abdulaziz Yari. Governor Yari, who spoke with State House correspondents at the end of the meeting, said the governors would continue their consultation on the matter with the leadership of the House of Representatives next week. He recalled that the Deputy President of the Senate, Ike Ekweremadu, was at their last meeting to brief them on the harmonized position of the two chambers on the amendment. He said there were so many issues of national interest, including devolution of power and political agitations, that were not taken into considerations in the amendment. In the AK2 state, the government today condemned the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission EFCC for the detention of its officials. The Commissioner for Finance, Tonyojo, and the Accountant General, Yemsi Wolabi, were released yesterday after spending 14 days in the custody of the anti-agency. They were detained over alleged mismanagement of state funds. Addressing a crowd at a reception organized for them in Udoessien, the State's Attorney General and the Commissioner for Justice, Kolapo Kolade, said the government and people of the state would not thank the EFCC. According to him, the two officials were arrested to intimidate and harass Governor Ayodele Fayose. Mr. Kolade stated that the EFCC action was born out of injustice, wickedness, and high-handedness being perpetrated on Nigerians and Ekiti people in particular on regular basis by the Commission. The Registrar of the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, JAM, Professor Isha Koloide, has said the body will return unspent money to the federal government's coffers. He told newsmen in Ilorin, Kwara State that the controversies trailing the huge amount returned to government's coffers this year was unnecessary. Professor Loyede said JAM is not a wasteful agency and that whatever comes in would be appropriately remitted into the federal government purse. He said JAM would improve on its activities in the coming years and urged all stakeholders in the education sector to be honest in the discharge of their responsibilities.
We have been overpampered in this nation. We indulge ourselves in some things that are ridiculous.
Professor Lady also said JAM would not review downward the fee for Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination UTME in 2018. The federal government says it is working with relevant agencies to remove dangerous speed bumps on the nation's highways to reduce accidents. Director, Planning, Research and Statistics in the Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Babagana Alkali, said this at a meeting with transport unions organized by Federal Road Safety Corps in Abuja. Mr. Carly said the federal government was working with relevant agencies to remove the speed bumps that were dangerous on the highways in compliance with the recent National Assembly resolution. He said the ones that are not important should be removed and those that are important should be left behind. The Corps Marshal of FRSC, Boboyo Yemi, thanked the stakeholders for their continuous cooperation with the Corps over the years, which helped it to record positive results. President Muhammadu Buhari has felicitated with the Owaoboko of Ijesha land Oba Gabriel Aromolara II on his 80th birthday. The president, in a congratulatory message issued by Special Advisor on Media and Publicity, Femi Adesina, also saluted the majestic Ijesha Kingdom, renowned for its historic military and entrepreneurial prowess. He extolled the maturity and wisdom of the royal father in administering his domain consistently, ensuring peace and development. President Buhari also lauded the Owabokun for promoting a strong appetite for education and commerce among his people. The president said Dr. Generian had over the years successfully sustained the heritage of patience, tolerance and good neighborliness bequeathed to him by his ancestors. He also commended the traditional ruler for taking his people to new heights of integration into the global trade community. Victory Chapel International is inviting the public to a victory service on Sunday, the 15th of October 2017, aimed at helping people struggling with fruitlessness in business and other works. According to the church, the program will hold at 9 in the morning at Garden of Love, Victory Way of Elisha-Kura Expressway. Ministering on the theme Total Victory Over Barrenness is the General Overseer, Bishop Mike Bamidele. The church is also providing free transportation from Victory Chapel International Roundabout, Elisha, to Garden of Love, venue of the program. On the foreign scene now, Liberians are waiting the late announcement of the outcome of presidential elections as international observers called for the results to be released promptly to avoid fueling tension. Political parties have expressed concern over polling day each on Tuesday, with one calling for halt to the ballot count. footballing superstar George Weah and incumbent Vice President Joseph Boakai expected to top the first round of voting. If no candidate wins 50% of the presidential vote, a runoff between the top two contenders will be held on November 7. The National Elections Commission is expected to hold a press conference later with the first official results. In Kenya now, the government has banned demonstrations in three major cities, the capital Nairobi, Mombasa and Kisumu. Interior Minister Fred Matiang'i said the ban was aimed at protecting Kenyans and their property.
Due to the clear, present and imminent danger of breach of peace and public order as witnessed in recent demonstrations, the government notifies the public that for the time being, we will not allow demonstrations within the central business districts of Nairobi, Mombasa, and Kisumu. But it's critical that people understand that we have a responsibility. Time has come for us to be honest with one another. Some of the things we are doing are hurting our country, and we cannot go on this way. I would like to call upon all the leaders and everyone involved that let us think about our country.
Opposition supporters have been holding regular protests in the three cities which have resulted in looting and violent clashes with police. They are pushing for electoral changes before a fresh election is held. Opposition leader Raila Odinga pulled out of the October 26 poll earlier this week. The Supreme Court had annulled President Uhuru Kenyatta's win in the August election after it found that the Election Commission had not followed the Constitution and electoral laws. The United States has announced that it will withdraw from the United Nations Scientific and Cultural Organization UNESCO, accusing the body of anti-Israel bias. State Department spokeswoman Ethan Nuart said Washington would establish an observer mission to replace its representation at the Paris-based agency. The United States was angered in 2011 when UNESCO members granted Palestine full membership of the body despite opposition from its ally Israel. UNESCO head Irina Bokova said withdrawal was a matter of profound regret and represented a loss to the UN family. French ambassador to the United Nations Francois de la Troie said it was important that the US stayed with UNESCO.
It's certainly not up to me, of course, to react officially to the American decision with respect to UNESCO. What I can say is that UNESCO is about promoting our ideals and values through culture, education, and science. These values and ideals are very much part of France's DNA, but also America's DNA. And this is why it is so important to have our American friends on board. I would add now more than ever.
The U.S. withdrawal from UNESCO will become effective at the end of December 2018.
And now for business news.
In business, President Muhammadu Buhari today wrote the Senate to seek confirmation of Aisha Ahmad as Deputy Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria. In a letter read by the Deputy Senate President Ike Ekweremadu, the President said the confirmation was necessary as Mrs. Ahmad would replace one of the Deputy Governors who retired earlier this year. The President also sought confirmation of 4 nominees as members of the Monetary Policy Committee of the CBN to replace 4 members whose tenure will expire at the end of the year. They are Adeola Denikunju, Aliyu Sanusi, Robert Asogwa, and Ashaik Maiduguri. Also, the Senate today considered the request by President Buhari to approve $5.5 billion external borrowings to be used to finance the 2017 Appropriation Act. Majority Leader Senator Ahmad Lawan presented the request to the Senate for consideration, which was unanimously granted by the lawmakers. The Deputy President of the Senate, Ike Ekweremadu, who presided over the plenary, referred the request to the Committee on Local and Foreign Debts, which was mandated to report back in 2 weeks. The overnight lending rate dropped to 20% today on expectation that the cash squeeze will ease after morning market rates more than doubled the previous session. Traders said the overnight rate closed at 44% yesterday after banking system liquidity hit a debit of 265 billion naira. Tight liquidity continues continued today with the market in debit of 243 billion naira, although the Central Bank of Nigeria repaid some treasury securities. The Central Bank has kept liquidity tight to support the currency, leaving its benchmark interest rate on hold at 14% this year. It also aims to keep rates high to attract foreign inflows into its bond market to boost dollar liquidity.
This is Sportline.
Welcome to sports. Nigeria's The Tigers are now ranked number 1 in Africa according to the latest FIBA ranking released today, despite finishing second at the 2017 FIBA Afrobasket held in Tunisia last month. The Tigers moved up 10 places but are ranked 26th in the world. Angola, who also dropped 10 points, is second in Africa and 33rd in the world, while Senegal are in 3rd position and 36th in the world ranking. Reacting to the rise, the president of the Nigerian Basketball Federation, Musa Kida, said it will continue to strengthen the board's resolve to reposition the game. Gordon Strachan has stepped down as Scotland manager following the team's failure to qualify for next year's World Cup. The Scottish Football Association announced Strachan's departure after a board meeting today. The SFA said Strachan and his assistant Mark McGee would leave with immediate effect to give his successor maximum time to prepare for the Euro 2020 qualifying campaign. Scotland missed out on a place in the playoffs for the World Cup after drawing 2-2 away to Slovenia in the final group game last Sunday. Scotland last participated in a major tournament after the 1998 World Cup. Still talking sports, Arsenal manager Arsene Wenger says it is possible that the club could court their losses on Alexis Sanchez and Mesut Ozil in January, but the French manager remains hopeful the duo will stay at the club following encouraging comments from Ozil's agent about a possible contract extension. Sanchez and Ozil's deals expire in the summer, meaning they could leave Arsenal for free at the end of the season.
Not at the moment. Once you're in our kind of situation, we have envisaged every solution, yes. I always said that the fact that we didn't find an agreement last year doesn't mean that the player will necessarily leave. But both players looked happy here. Overall, I hope that the situation can be turned around. At the moment, no, we are not close enough to announce you anything.
Sanchez has been linked with a number of major clubs, among them Manchester City and Paris Saint-Germain. Ozil, meanwhile, is reported to have attracted interest from Manchester United, who are managed by his former Real Madrid boss, Jose Mourinho. Earlier this week, Ozil's agent Ekut Sergent indicated talks with Arsenal were progressing positively.
Now, entertainment news.
Peter Okoye, one half of the defunct Nigerian music duo P-Square, says he's not worried about the drama concerning him and his two brothers Paul and Jide Okoye. The pop singer has relaxed about the sensation news of P-Square's split has created in recent weeks. During this period, a video was leaked of the three brothers fighting themselves at their lawyer's office. But Peter posted a selfie of himself drinking fine wine on a Snapchat today and wrote that it was the best year ever. Peter Okoye, who now goes by the stage name Mr. B, recently signed a solo record deal with Empire, an American distribution company and record label based in California, United States. Still talking entertainment, Nigerian music stars Sheisha and Vector have landed their first movie role in a production entitled Lara and the Beat. The movie by Biola Labi is about young and beautiful sisters caught in the center of a financial scandal with their late parents' media empire. The film stars Sumkele Lama, Chinedu KDSA known as Aki, DJ Exclusive, Lala Kindoju, Wale Ojo, Uche Jumbo and others. Lara and the Beat is currently in the production phase and is set to hit the cinemas in April 2018. And before we end the news at 6, here's a recap of our top stories. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo has taken responsibility for granting authorization to the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC) for 2 oil contracts worth 640 billion naira. The bill, which will enforce that an elected president and vice president of the country be inaugurated at the premises of the National Assembly, has been passed by the Senate. The Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian Center for Disease Control (NCDC), Dr. Chikwe Yekwazo, says there is no ongoing vaccination against monkeypox in the southeast or any other part of the country. On the foreign scene, Liberians are waiting the delayed announcement of the outcome of presidential elections as international observers called for the results to be released promptly to avoid failed intention. And just before we go, did you know that according to the National Bureau of Statistics, as of June this year, Nigeria's foreign debt profile stood at $15.05 billion, while the domestic debt portfolio was put at 14.06 trillion naira. And that ends the news at 6 on Rave 91.7 FM. News was edited by Olalekon Akindoju. You can visit our website on ravefmng.com to listen to us live and interact with us. My name is Gideon Udoessien. Good evening and thank you for listening.
And that was the news at 6 on Rave.